You ever have that moment where you've read about something a dozen times, but it only truly clicks after you try it yourself? Well, that's what we're digging into today. The incredible power of moving beyond just listening and into the world of learning by doing. And this isn't some brand new idea. Benjamin Franklin absolutely nailed its essence centuries ago. This quote really gets to the heart of what we're talking about today. The huge difference between being a passive listener and being an active participant in your own learning. So here's a quick roadmap of where we're headed. We're going to kick things off with a real-world story, then get into the science of why it works. From there, we'll unpack the 4-stage cycle that drives it all and even see how you can figure out your own style before we look at how to put this all into action. All right, so to really see this idea in action, let's start with a fantastic real-world example. Let me introduce you to the weed warriors. It all started when a group of students just noticed a problem. Their local park was completely overrun with weeds. But here's the thing, instead of just writing a paper about it, they decided to do something. They actually reached out to a park ranger, went out into the field to learn how to identify the nasty invasive plants, and then they launched their very own community project to bring the park back to life. Think about that. They didn't just learn about ecology, they actually became ecologists. So what was the magic ingredient there? What made that project so much more powerful than just reading a chapter in a textbook? Well, let's dive into the science, because there's a really good reason why experience is often the best teacher. Okay, so the official term for this is experiential learning. A researcher named David Kolb defines it as the process where knowledge is literally created by transforming an experience. So it's not about memorizing a bunch of facts, it's about making real meaning from the things you actually do. And get this, the hard data totally backs this up. Some studies show we only remember about 10% of what we read, and maybe 20% of what we hear. But just look at that jump. When we get our hands dirty, when we actually do something, that retention rate can skyrocket to 75%. I mean, that's not just a little bit better, that's a massive game-changing difference. Now, this isn't just about random trial and error. There's a secret sauce, a structured engine that really powers this kind of learning. It's called Kolb's Experiential Learning Cycle, and it's the framework that turns all those experiences into knowledge that actually sticks. So the cycle has 4 key stages: doing something, then watching and reflecting on it, then thinking about what it all means, and finally, planning what you're going to do next. It's a continuous loop, so let's break it down with a super simple analogy. First up, you have a concrete experience. This is the just do it part. So imagine getting on a bicycle for the very first time. You're not reading a manual. You are on the bike, you're wobbly, you're trying to figure out the pedals. That is the raw, unfiltered experience. Next comes reflective observation. So after you inevitably fall, which, let's be honest, we all do, you don't just immediately jump back on. You stop, you watch, you think, okay, why did I fall? What just happened? And wait, how is that other person staying upright? You're actively processing what just went down. And out of that reflection, you move on to abstract conceptualization. This is the thinking stage, the real aha moment. You form a new idea, a little theory. You realize, I get it. If I pedal faster, I'll have more momentum, and that's what's going to help me balance. You've just created a new mental model from what you observed. And finally, you have to test that theory, right? That's stage 4, active experimentation. You hop back on the bike, but this time you have a plan. You're going to try to pedal faster right from the start. And this action, it creates a brand new concrete experience, and the whole cycle begins all over again, each loop making you a little bit better, a little bit smarter. Now, here's where it gets really interesting and personal. While we all go through this cycle, we don't all approach it in the same way. Colt found that we tend to have natural preferences, favorite spots in the cycle. So let's see if you can spot your own. So Colt identified 2 key spectrums here. The first is about how we perceive things. Are you more of a concrete feeling person or an abstract thinking person? And the second is about how we process it. Do you prefer to hang back and watch for a bit, or are you the type to just jump right in and start doing? When you combine those preferences, you end up with 4 main learning styles. So, for instance, a diverger prefers feeling and watching. They're super imaginative, great at brainstorming ideas. On the other hand, a converger prefers thinking and doing. They're amazing at taking an idea and making it happen. But here's the key. Knowing your style isn't about boxing yourself in. It's about collaboration. Imagine a diverger who dreams up 10 brilliant ideas and a converger who can pick one and actually build it. Now that is a powerhouse partnership. It's all about using everyone's strengths.
So this isn't just some abstract theory, right? Where can we actually see this powerful method in action today? Well, the answer is pretty much everywhere that real effective learning is taking place.
In education, this is the entire engine behind things like project-based learning, internships, and service projects, just like the Weed Warriors. These things aren't just, fun add-ons anymore. They are becoming core strategies to help people truly understand complex subjects. And this quote just brilliantly illustrates why this is so critical in our professional world. As the management guru Henry Mintzberg said, you can't learn to swim or to lead by reading a book about it. Sooner or later, you have to get in the water. And that's exactly why the most effective companies rely on these kinds of methods. I mean, think about it. On-the-job training, business simulations, role-playing difficult conversations, leadership programs that really push people out of their comfort zones. They're all designed to build real skills through direct, hands-on experience. And this is really just the beginning. The next big frontier is immersive technology, like virtual reality. I mean, imagine surgeons practicing a complex operation over and over, or engineers stress testing a new bridge design, all in a perfectly realistic but totally risk-free simulation. VR is about to take learning by doing to a whole new level. Okay, so we've seen the story, we've broken down the science, we've looked at where it's being used. So, how can we bring it all together and make this powerful idea work for you? So, what's the big takeaway here? Learning by doing is so much more than just a good way to remember things. It builds the exact soft skills that everyone is looking for: teamwork, communication, creative problem solving. It builds resilience because it forces you to deal with real challenges. And, maybe most importantly, it makes learning feel relevant, engaging, and like it actually matters. And that really brings us to our final thought. This isn't about starting some massive new project. It's about a small shift in your mindset. So I'll leave you with this question, a little challenge. What's one thing, big or small, that you're going to choose to learn not just by reading about it, but by actually doing it this week?